Hey there, Spooksters, and welcome back to another episode here on Three Spooked Girls. My name is Jessica, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite ghoul friend, Tara.
Hey, Spooksters.
Today, we are doing our third installment of Evil Lives Here. But before we dive into that, if you want to hang out with us on social media, you can do so by heading over to Facebook, Instagram, all the places. Our handle is at Three Spooked Girls. If you want to hang out with us like more Spooksters and be able to interact, we have two places where you can do that now. The first place is our Facebook group. It's a tried and true place. We do a lot of announcements over there. It's kind of a place where you can just go hang out with other people that are like-minded and like spooky and true crime. So that is Three Spooked Girls Official. And then we also have our Discord. So that's all things that are like Three Spooked Girls universe. So like this podcast, Three Spooked Girls, and we also have our social seance over there. So if you want to catch all up on everything, we have a Discord. We also, if you are into reading, we have our own book club. It's called the Spookster Literary Society. We meet once a month to discuss two books. We have a main read, which can be anything. We've done the Stephen King books. We've done just like a variety of different books over there. And we have a feminine rage read. And those are just like, great stories with like real bold female characters. So either of those entice you, those types, you can just head on over there and join us. And we do that on the Discord as well.
Mm-hmm. I was like, in my head, join us, join us. Like a little cult.
Do it. It's the best cult. If you want to help support the show, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/Three Spooked Girls. For little as $1, you get a bonus episode each month. 5 and up get ad-free episodes the day before. And right now, you should be able to be catching up on the Gypsy Rose shenanigans of her life, because we are recapping the Lifetime reality show. So if you want to join us, we don't in real time, we don't know what's happening because I think this is coming out in April, and we are April or like late March.
The show hasn't aired in our time yet.
Yeah.
But I'm so
we're
excited.
Like, what is happening? But just a couple of days for us, and we can dive right into this. And see. So if you are interested in that, we did put one of the last seasons up on the main feed. So if you're like, how does that work? Go check it out. I really enjoyed last season. If you know me, I'm not a big reality show girl, but I will always be a Gypsy Rose reality show girl. So
there's a divorce, there's a baby, and who knows what else we see.
I'm real excited. We are going to dive into the third episode of Evil Lives Here. We're going by season. So we're at season 1, episode 3, and this is called Cheating Death. This one is I'm going to just trigger warning people here now. If things like rape, violent sex, people being like held against their will, if these are all big trigger warnings for you, this might not be the episode for you, because this is a bad person. So
okay,
just wanting everyone to be like, we want this to be a good space for you, and we don't want to accidentally trigger anything. So we're going to start. So the episode starts, and we meet the only person who kind of narrates through this episode. Her name is Cathy Wilson. I believe this is set in England, or at least Australia. They don't actually tell you, but they have accents that are like Britishy. So
okay,
it didn't sound too Australian, but I might not always be the best, and I was a little tired when I watched it. So my apologies.
Not an American case. Got you.
Not an American case. She starts talking, and she's like talking about this man named Peter, because one of the things I love about the show is they kind of show you the ending of it at the beginning, but like no context. So you're like, why is this dude here? And she's talking about this guy named Peter, because like real evil look on his face, and he's real angry. Like they're like taking him out in handcuffs, and it looks like he's going to kick a reporter. He's this like really intense, angry face. And she's like, I haven't seen that face in so long, and I never want to see it again. And she was worried. Basically, that's like the stuff of her nightmares, is that face. So then she starts talking to the producer, and she basically says, like, today has been really hard because I've had to like relive everything that I've gone through. She's like, I have to relive it over and over again, because it's not like you don't just sit down and just do one take of it. It's not like she sat in front of a microphone and they were like, just say this one time. Like she probably had to say it several times, of like if there was anything like noise or anything in the background. So just hope that Cathy's in a better place mentally now, because this looked like it really affected her that day for sure. But we get to find out who the bad guy is. His name is Peter Tobin. And she says he is a psychopath purely and simply. And that's like a direct quote from her. And I had like paused the TV and wrote it down. Cathy and Peter were married, and Peter met Cathy when she was only 16 and he was at least 35.
Ew. Okay. Got it.
This was in the 80s, I just want to point out, but still
Mhm.
okay. She's a self-described wild child. She said about the age of 14, she discovered boys and booze and just like was out there living it up. And this is another thing, like being in another country, you can start drinking at 16, so you can go to like bars. So it's not like she was sneaking. I want everyone to know, like, when I'm like,
Mhm.
she met him at a bar, she wasn't sneaking in. Like, that wasn't illegal. She said she would like put on all the makeup. Like, she would get like, she's like, I liked a lot of makeup. I liked to dress really nice and like get all gussied up and go to the bar and just kind of like flirt and meet people. And she's like, I would go out and be partying like every night till 2 a.m. And I was like, okay, girl, if that's what you want to do, actually, like at 16, you have the energy to do that. Like, I don't have the energy to do
Mhm.
that now. I want to sleep at night. Anyway, so she's at the bar one night and she's like flirting with this other guy. And then she looks across the bar and she sees Peter and she's like, oh, I'm going to go talk to this dude. So she like walked up to him and she's like, do you want to buy me a drink? And he was like, sure, I'll buy you a drink. And they like kind of start talking and they hit it off. But there's something to note that Cathy really wanted to be a trad wife. Like she really, that was like her life ambition. And there's no hate on that. I want to point out, not hating on it at all. She just really wanted to like meet a man and like fall in love and then take care of him and have him protect her. So like that whole traditional like whatever, whatever. And so she meets Peter, who's about 20 years older than her. She kind of alluded that she didn't really have a strong father figure in her life. So she's like attracted to this like older man who's like providing her with protection and like, you know, thoughts of love and admiration. And it says like at the beginning, everything was really sweet. He had little nicknames for her. He called her his little chicken or his little chick or his little hen and was like very sweet and very kind. They moved quickly, like very quickly. In fact, she moved in with him after meeting him and it had only been like 4 or 5 weeks. And they were like, we're going to live together
Wow.
and be, you know, whatever, boyfriend girlfriend in this house. And she said like, you know, the first little bit it was like perfect. It was just really interesting. Like they were just like meant to be is how she kind of made it sound. Then Peter slowly started to change and the first kind of sign was, you know, they had been going out every night, like, you know, she would get dressed up and they would go out and, you know, whatever. And then like one night like in the reenactment, by the way, this is the first time that I don't think the people look like the people.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
But I'm pretty sure, like, I've seen this girl in, like the actress, I'm pretty sure she was in, like, a Criminal Minds episode, and I
Oh, I
was like,
love that.
"I feel really familiar." I was like, "Ooh, okay, her." So, you know, she like, Cathy wore, like, a lot of bright colors, she wore a lot of makeup, and I wear a lot of makeup, like, I got falsies, I got bright pink, reddish lipstick on, you know, I get it, do you, boo. But Peter really didn't think that was for her. In fact, he would call her a tart when she would put makeup on. So she started to like change who she was to meet a man. Don't do that. And, you know, so she started like taming down her clothing and like she's looking at a picture of herself from like a little bit after this time. Like it's right after her like son was born. And she's like looking at herself and she's in like a beige sweater and like beige pants. And she's just like, I look at this person and I don't recognize him. This isn't me. But because she needed Peter to like approve of her and love her, she changed who she was to meet him. And Peter was an extremely jealous man, like extremely jealous. And so he would be like, would you want all these men looking at you? And she's like, no, that's not, I just like, you know, I do it for me. And he's like, whatever. Like, and so she changed and he began to become very controlling. So every morning before he would leave for the day, he would sit down with her and give her a list of things to do, instructions, as she said. And she was to have them done by the time he got home. So he would be like, I want you to vacuum, I want you to sweep, I want you to vacuum, I want you to press my shirts, I want you to clean this, I want you to do that, whatever it was. And he expected it to be perfect and done when she got home. Then he started getting more controlling in the fact that like he would give her own, like she didn't have a job, like she was a stay-at-home wife, she had no income, so he would have to give her money to do like grocery shopping. So they would sit down and like figure out what she was going to get and he'd give her like an approved list. And then when she got home, he would go and look over the receipts to see that she only bought what they had discussed. And there was this one time
Mhm.
she was at the store and, you know, like you go to the grocery store, there's a little makeup section and she saw this lipstick and she was like, ooh, that's so pretty. I want that. So she bought it. thinking it was no big deal, right? Because it's like, she could put the lipstick on and it could be for both of them because,
Mhm.
she's feeling a little spicy, whatever. No, he got real mad and basically called her selfish. Like, why are you only thinking of yourself? So she was like, oh my God. And you can just tell that she's so young because of her
Mhm.
mentality of thinking, I messed up, I will do better. And she's just like, that's just how she was. And he was becoming unpredictable with his like abusive words, and like he was becoming very like he would just kind of just yell at her for no reason. And then one day she came to him and was like, honey, what do you want for dinner? And he's like, I want pork chops. And she's like, I'd never cooked pork chops before. Now if you've never cooked pork chops before, it's not like cooking a steak. You have to cook
Mhm.
it all the way through. And you might be thinking like, oh my God, I'm drying this out. But like pork chops are tricky because you either
Mhm.
accidentally dry them out or you undercook them and everyone gets sick. There's a
Yeah.
sweet spot in the middle. She didn't know that you had to cook it all the way through. So she throws it in the skillet. She does what she knows how to do. And she like, looks cooked on the outside. She flips it over. She does the same thing. So then she takes it and like proudly presents it to Peter and is like, here. And he cuts into it and it's like raw on the inside because, she didn't know. And he like starts screaming at her, like, would you eat this? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, kill me, blah, blah, blah. And then he picks up the plate and he like throws it past her head and it like shatters and she starts crying and he just like gets up and walks away. And she's like, what the fuck? So she like in the reenactment, you
Mhm.
see like she's on the floor, like picking up pieces, like trying to like clean up. And he comes over to her and he's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I won't do it again. I'm so, so sorry. Like, I lost my temper, but like, like get really sick. And immediately she's like, oh no, it's my fault. Like, I didn't cook it right. I will do better next time. I promise. And it's that mentality of like, he's angry because it's my fault, not like he has
Right.
an anger problem and should probably get help. So, about this time, there's another dynamic change in their relationship, which is that he stops calling her like his little chick or his little hen or his little whatever. And his nicknames for her become bitch and cunt. So he'd be like, get me a cup of tea, bitch. And like she says it like that. She goes, or
The
get me a cup of
fuck?
tea, cunt. Or she's like, and when he felt like she was going too slow, he'd be like, he's like, why are you so slow? But like, this is what he's saying to her. And she's just like, oh my God, I have to do better. I have to do better. Like one day he was like, she made him toast for breakfast because he asked for toast. And one of the pieces was slightly a little burnt, like a little bit, but she was making more toast. So she set it down to like give to him. And like, if you don't want the burnt toast, don't fucking eat the burnt toast. So she gives it to him and he's like, what the fuck? This is burnt. Like, what are you trying to do? And she's like, don't worry. It's okay. I'm making more toast. And she goes, I shouldn't have talked back to him. Bitch, that wasn't talking back. That
No,
was
that's
just
telling
saying,
him
like,
it's coming.
I'm making you more like, don't freak out. Like, I have more toast coming. He
Yeah.
jumps up so quickly and grabs her by the throat and shoves her against the wall and like screams at her and is in the face. And she's just like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, don't ever talk back to me. And just like, don't be disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. And then he just let her go and
Trash.
walked off.
Mm.
And then she was like, I'm going to do better. I will never burn toast again. I am going to be the best wife there is. And this is the thing that she keeps telling herself time and time again. And then she marries him.
She wasn't even married yet?
Mm-mm. Now we're in the story. He's become physically abusive to her.
Oh.
And yeah. So
Mhm.
after they get married, things get a little better for a little bit because he's happy because he's got her locked down. And it's interesting because you see their wedding photos and it's like, she just doesn't look good. And I mean this in like the
Mm.
fact that she doesn't really, like brides are supposed to like feel like glowy and like feel their best. Like you could just tell that that's not how she felt about herself that day.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
You just kinda felt
Right.
like, "This is what Peter wants me to look like." And then her and Peter decide that they're gonna have a child, and so they get pregnant, and they have a son, and his name is Daniel. And Cathy says he's actually, like, a really good dad, like, he loves to play with him, he's never angry or abusive towards him, he's always, like there's just she describes their relationship, Peter and Daniel's, as, like, it's always just a bunch of laughter, they're always playing in the garden, they're always doing whatever it is. They seem really, really happy. Also, at this time, Peter starts isolating Cathy from her family and friends because before, like, they were still in her life. And I'm pretty sure they were probably like, what the fuck's happening with Peter? Like, why
Mm.
is he so weird? So he takes her car keys So, like, he's going to work one day. She's like, "Hey, those are my keys." And he's like, "I know you don't need them. You don't need to go anywhere."
Except you have a baby now, so, like, what if there was an emergency?
He starts doing this thing where he only lets her make one phone call per week. She's only allowed to use the phone, like, to call out once a week, unless it's like, for like a repairman or stuff like that. But like, she's only allowed to make like one personal call a week. And she chooses to call her grandparents. And then he sits like right next to her, listening, sitting so close to her, he can hear both sides of the conversation. And he only allows the conversation for like 1 or 2 minutes or like 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So it's really like, "Hi, grandma. Hi, grandpa." Like, "Yeah, no, the kids, Daniel's great. Everything's great. We love you. Okay, bye." Like, it's very superficial. It's never like it's nothing of substance for sure. Then all of a sudden, something else changed because Peter was like, anytime that he wasn't at work, he was like with her. She couldn't go to the grocery store by herself. She couldn't go anywhere. And he was like, "You can't even like," she used to like garden. And then he was like, "You're no longer allowed to go outside. You have to stay in the house." So she's like literally a prisoner in her own house.
I was thinking that, like, the minute you said about the call thing, I'm like, "Dang, this girl's in prison." Like, what the
Oh,
fuck?
for sure. And it's gonna get a little worse. One day, Cathy notices that he like takes her keys and she tries again to be like, "Hey, those are my keys. Like, why are you taking those?" He's like, "Well, you don't need them." And she's like, "We have a kid, like, that kind of thing." And he's like, "Whatever." And then he goes out the front door and he locks it. And something feels different about this day. And she goes to the door and she jiggles the handle and it's locked from the outside. She can't get out of the house. She's stuck. Like, if the house was on fire, she'd have to go out a window.
Oh my god.
And so she's
What?
like trapped into this house and she's like, "Oh my
Mhm.
God." So she begins to panic. And then a little bit later, like maybe like 5 or 6 minutes later, there's like a knock she sees this guy walk up and he's like a big burly ass dude. And he like walks up and he knocks on the door and she's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I can't open the door. Like, I don't have a key and it's locked from the outside." And he unlocks the door and walks in and goes, "It's okay. Peter gave me a key."
Oh, I don't like it.
Oh, I didn't like it either, especially because they did me dirty. I'm gonna point out, like, when you watch this episode, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, this happened." It didn't happen the way that it kind of
Mhm.
leads up. So she thinks
Mhm.
that this dude is there to see Peter, but he wasn't. I'm gonna tell you, they called him the minder. Peter like hired this dude to stay home with Cathy all day and just watch her and make sure she didn't run away.
What the fuck?
But the show alludes that he like rapes her.
Yeah. Oh my
Not ha
god.
That's not what happens. At
Okay.
least that's not
Uh-huh.
w I was like, "Oh my God," but she's like, "Nothing like salacious or like malice ever happened with this dude." In fact, it shows them like later, like when they got back to it, they're like sitting on the couch drinking tea together, and it's like really awkward. Like, it's obviously like someone you don't but it's like, "Okay, cool." So she just like goes about her life. Like,
Oh
so
my
Peter leaves in
god.
the morning, dude comes over and just stays with her and then leaves a little bit before Peter gets back, and then Peter comes home. So this is her life right now, and the minder is there, and so Peter starts staying out later every night and coming home late. Sometimes he doesn't come home at all. He comes home like the next day, and the minder's just there with her the whole time. So there's just like this dude. So I don't actually know they never tell you what Peter actually did. Part of me thinks he's an organized crime because like the fuck is this dude? Like, just fucking chilling.
Yeah, that's
Like,
really weird.
who just nannies for an adult woman with a child? Like, just watching, it was so weird. And he's
Mhm.
like described as like a big ass dude. So then one night Peter comes home and he's home and she just like went to bed. Like, she's like, "Fuck this. I don't want to be around him." She goes upstairs to bed. And then she hears the doorbell ring. And then she hears a woman's voice. And it's muffled because, she's upstairs. She's like, "What the fuck is happening?" Then she like hears clearly what is sex noises. Mind you, like, yeah,
What the
appropriate face.
fuck?
There's like,
Yeah.
"No." So she's like, "What is happening?" So she goes downstairs to like see what the fuck is happening in her own home, which not her own home, it's Peter's home that he like kidnapped her
Mhm.
to. This woman is like literally like on the floor on all fours and he is having violent sex with her. He is like pulling her hair to the point where there's like tears streaming down her face. He's like slapping her around, like he's being really violent with her.
Mhm.
And Cathy walks in and is just like, "What the fuck?" Like, because at this point in time, she's like maybe 19.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
she's like, "What the fuck is happening with in this moment?" And he says to her, this girl is like This woman is on all fours, is crying, but she's a sex worker. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
he's paying for this. It's no excuse, I want to point out, but like she's not fighting him off, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Like she's not.
Mhm.
And he says to Cathy, she does it right. She does it the way you should be doing it. And then makes her sit and watch.
Who is this man?
His name is Peter Tobin.
I know, but I'm just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck? Oh my
right? Like,
god.
and this becomes a regular occurrence. And then after a while, she stops coming downstairs to like see what the fuck's happening. She stays in her room. Cathy was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. And she's starting to think like maybe I should leave. One night, Peter's doing his terrible, terrible thing. And Cathy hears this poor woman like crying out and is just like it's not an okay situation, and she goes downstairs to intervene. Peter grabs Cathy and essentially swaps her out. Like the woman, he like basically like pushes away and then begins to like rape Cathy in a very aggressive manner, and then tells her while he's doing this is how it's going to be from now on. This is how we're going to do it. And is like very violent with her. And Cathy is just like, I have to get the fuck away from him. And so a few days later, she gets up her courage and she tells him, I want a divorce. I want to leave. He looked at her and was like, I will kill you and I will kill your son. He starts terrorizing her every single day. And then she brings it up again, like, I want to go, I want a divorce. And unfortunately, at this moment, Daniel is standing really close and Peter grabs him and runs up the stairs because they live in like at least a 2-story, and dangles him over the banister. And Cathy
Oh
is like
my
on the ground floor, like, what the fuck? Like, she's like stuck in this moment. Like, she's like begging him and she's like, listen, 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 listen. Never mind. We'll just go back. I'll take it back. It never happened. We never had this conversation. And it like took some time, but eventually Peter pulled Daniel over the banister and then like walked away. And she was like, this was the moment I fucking knew I was done. I had to figure out a way to get out because it was going to be my death and my child's death. But like, how do you get there? Like, how do you get out? Like, he locks her in every day. He has someone who comes to see, like, sits with her. He has all his bases covered for a prisoner. He literally hires essentially a prison guard to sit with her every day. If he's not there, if Peter isn't in the home, there's someone there with him and she can't get out of the house. Well, one day, Peter is like, gets a call and is like, I gotta go, and starts to leave. And he's like, I'll be back in an hour and a half. And he goes out the door and he shuts it, doesn't lock it. He forgot to lock it. And because
finally.
this was so fast, like he had to just leave and go. He didn't call the minder. She kind of alluded that the minder wouldn't come over if it was like a short little thing, like he wasn't going to be gone too long. So Cathy is like, she hears the door not locked. And she's like, so she waits like a couple minutes to see if like he comes back in to see if she tried to leave, right? He doesn't come back. They kind of allude that like she sees his car like go away, right? Like, and so then she's like waiting for the minder to get there, and she's like waiting, and it's like 5 or 6 more minutes and nothing. And she's like, okay, now it's now or never. And she just like, she had been like pilfering, she said squirreling away, which I love that British term, like squirreling away. Little, like she'd been like change. So like $1 here that like, so she had like a little bit of money, and she just went, she packed Daniel clothes, she packed herself some clothes, she grabbed the money, and then she's like, okay, we got to go. And like the two of them like go out, and she's like, she says she runs out the front door and she gets down the steps, and then she thinks to herself, like, I have to go back inside. He's going to kill me otherwise. And then she was like, nope, 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 nope. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm just going to go. And she just like started to take off. And she said like every car that turned the corner, every person that turned a corner, she was like, it's him or the minder, and they're going to get me and they're going to kill us. And that's it. Well, good news is she gets away. She makes it all the way to her grandparents, which is several hundred miles away. And she gets there,
Wow.
and yeah, like they don't tell you how she does it, but she gets there and life starts to get better. Well, Peter knows where she is, but I don't think that Peter's going to like, here's the thing. Peter's not going to go around her grandparents because they'll call the cops and they'll just like
Right.
end it. So he's calling every day and is like apologizing, like, come back, life will be good. I promise, blah, blah, blah. Please, I love you. This episode, I'm sorry, is sponsored by blah, 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 because that's the thing I've said all day. I'm really apologizing. And then, like a little while later, Cathy gets a phone call from the police and is basically telling her that her husband has been arrested for the rape and torture of 2 14-year-old girls, and that they were been tortured so bad they were basically left for dead. And Cathy's like, No, even though she, like, had to leave him because, like, he was gonna kill her and the abuse was so bad, like, she still was like, "He wouldn't hurt people." That's how brainwashed she was. Like, she knew she had to get
Mhm.
away, but, like, still she was like she's like, "I even told the police, like, he wouldn't have done that." And so he was sentenced to 14 years. So he goes to prison and time goes on and she's just living her life and she thinks things are great. And she's starting to feel like her life is safe and that Peter is out of it, but that's not how life works. One day
Mhm.
she's at home and her aunt calls her and is like, girl, turn the TV on. And they do. And there's like a picture of Peter's face on there. It's like aged a bit, but like there's Peter.
Oh, sh
And
mhm.
basically he is wanted for the murder of a college student. And the one thing that Cathy's like, nobody told me he'd been paroled. Like, no one told me he'd been released. And I was like, they probably didn't tell you because, like, you weren't like a registered victim. Like, you weren't someone who, like,
Mhm.
filed a complaint. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then she was like, oh shit, Peter's coming after me and Daniel because they don't know where he is. And a
Right.
little bit later, the police call her and they tell her that, like, this murder was so violent and so aggressive. This is not his first murder. This is like the escalated murder. He has done this kind of stuff before. And she's like, oh my God. And at this point it's good because she starts thinking like, oh my God, all those times he like left home for like hours every evening or he was gone overnight, things like that. She's like, oh my God. So they said, hey, we're going to go back to your old house and like look for clues. And similar to like the last episode where they go into the garden and like the backyard and they dig it up, they find bodies. I want to say at least
Oh.
3 bodies in the backyard. 2 of them were under Daniel's sandbox.
Of course they were. Oh my god.
The neighbors had caught him like digging a hole in the backyard and were like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm building a sand pit for my son." And so
Mm,
they built a sand pit for him and there were 2 like women were buried under them. And Kathy's just like, "My son played in there." Like she's like, "I have memories of him like sitting there like building sandcastles."
that's so
And
awful.
by the way, they did apprehend Peter and they had uncovered 8 unsolved murders at the time, but they believe his victims there could be 46 victims.
Holy shit.
And this is the sad part is the youngest of his victims was 9.
Mm.
So, he obviously went away forever, because they're like, "Nope,
Mhm.
like, we have at least 8, there's possibly 46," like, so he's
Yeah.
away forever, and Cathy, like, very much blames herself, like, she's like, "I wonder what I could have done to prevent this," and the thing I wanna say to Cathy is, like, you tried to stop something once and you got hurt, and Peter would have killed you. If she had stayed with Peter, Peter would have killed her.
Mhm.
Eventually, she would have become too much of a hassle for him, but that's kind of how the episode ends. Cathy's talking about how, like, she, wish she could have prevented it. And I'm just so glad that Cathy, oh, then they show a picture of Cathy and Daniel now. And like Daniel's like a full grown man, like a big old, he's like
Aw.
kind of a broad dude, like he looks like
Yeah.
he could be a linebacker. I was like,
Good.
oh,
Her
so
own
he
bodyguard.
right? So he grew up and, I'm so like it's kind of like you're proud of Cathy because like it would have been so much easier for her to turn around and go back inside and been like, it's okay that the door wasn't locked and that I stayed. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely an interesting episode. And I was like, oh my God, I like this show because these are like cases I've never heard of.
Same.
Even
Mhm.
in the true crime when you start like looking into like niche things and then to hear from like the people who were like involved and be like, but this dude was truly evil. Like this is
Oh my god, yeah.
psychopathic behavior for sure. Well, let us know if you are enjoying this series, if you want us to do more of them. And we
Mhm.
will be back next week. I believe next week is listeners or something of
Think
that
so.
nature. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we will see you then. Toodles.
Bye.